Hey, Miguel Durrani back here on the CRP. And if you know the CRP, you know that is Jonathan Ivey. That is Jonathan Ivey.
Boom!
The big guy is back here. And we've got our heavyweight hat on right now because Bellator 226 is right around the corner. It's this weekend. It comes to us, live on the Zone and the whole Bellator package there. And, the main event comes to us in the heavyweight division, and it is Ryan Bader taking on Chi Kongo, a couple of veterans that everybody knows. And basically, Ivey's been making some heavyweight picks for me, so we had to talk a little bit about Darth Vader here taking on Chi Kongo, a couple of veterans. Vader 36, Kongo on the plus side of 40, I'm pretty sure. Still looks like $1 million. He's coming off a couple of, if you look at what Chi Kongo's done, Chi Kongo is actually on an 8-fight winning streak with Bellator, so you can see how he earned his title shot. And Bader won the heavyweight tournament. Now, Jonathan, how you doing?
I'm doing fabulous, Miguel. But you know that already. It's good to beat Ivy. But I think Congo is on a 10-fight win streak and 44 years old. But he's not fighting like it, is he?
Yeah. No, he looks like $1 million, and an 8-fight winning streak, and is nothing to take your hat, sneeze at or anything like that. So definitely. Now, what do you think of Bellator's Scott Coker making comments that he feels Ryan Bader's the best heavyweight in the world? Bader coming through the heavyweight tournament, beating, the likes of Fedor and things like that along the way. He's now a champ with Bellator. He's got their light heavyweight belt and their heavyweight belt rather. It puts him basically in the same category as John Jones. Now he lost to Jones, but Jones stayed at 205. He's moving up. There's a lot to take in there. What do you think of Coker's comments?
Well, I think you can see why Coker would say that, right? He wants to push his brand, but and I'm far from a UFC fanboy. They've gave me the shaft for years, and Coker. Anyway, I've had opportunities with both organizations, but anyway, Coker wants to spread his brand and do that, but that's silly, Miguel. It's just silly. It's like saying look, all respect to those guys. They're great fighters. But that's like saying a college football team is up, in the NFL. I mean, it's just apples and oranges. But not to hate on anybody, but the UFC is still king right now.
And yeah, I think most people have that opinion. I think when Scott Coker makes a comment like that in the media, he runs the risk of having that be the reaction of most people. Be like, yeah, right. He's just, he's not really speaking the truth. But I'll give Bader a little bit of props, in terms of the, since he's gone to Bellator, he's had a very high level of competition, in terms of heavyweights, he's beaten Matt Mitrione and Fedor Emelianenko. Linton Vassell moved up in weight afterwards. Phil Davis, is a UFC veteran that, was a good, notable win for him when he went to Bellator. In the door and stuff. But, I don't know if that's quite enough to put him in there with, Francis Ngannou's and even the Junior Dos Santos and the second tier of heavyweights. And I agree with you. Chi Kongo at 44, a real specimen. He's on a very long winning streak, and he's been doing it all under the Bellator banner. That means, not huge name recognition over, with his opponents and stuff, but he's beaten Alexander Volkov at the beginning of that winning streak. Volkov now with the UFC and former Bellator champion. And in his last fight, he beat Vitaly Minakov. Minakov, an undefeated fighter who had, Bellator title plans. And, he gave him his first loss, and I think that propels him into the title shot. But I don't think we're looking at, for Francis Ngannou versus John Jones for the heavyweight title here. But I think it has the makings of a good fight. What do you think in the ring we're going to see when we have Bader square off with Chi Kongo?
Well, Kongo's so good at what he does, right? During this course of this 10-fight win streak he's on, he beat my old sparring partner, Tony Johnson, and I know how tough Tony is. And so I give Kongo all the props in the world. But I just feel like in this matchup, Miguel, I think that Bader, his skill set, and I think he really showed a lot of what he's going to try to do against Kongo, against Mitrione. I think the possibility of this being against the cage a lot during this fight is big. Of course, Bader doesn't want there to be space between them out and open. He wants to take away the space because Congo's so long and good with that right hand. But I think you go ahead and ask your next question. I don't want to jump the gun here.
Okay, I want to check in with you now. Congo, I think is going to be a little bigger. I don't think that makes much of a difference here because Bader's been, coming in very strong as a heavyweight. I think the difference may be Bader's speed. I think Bader is going to be way too fast for Congo. Congo at 44 has shown a tendency to take some shots and things like that. And I don't know if you want to give Bader that chance. Is that something you've taken into account there, sir?
Well, Bader's on quite of a win streak also, Miguel, right? Yeah. And the losses that Bader has is kind of chin oriented, it seems like, which is kind of scary against Congo because Congo's right hand is so nice. But Bader's wrestling, I think, is going to come into it here, and I think his clinch against the cage and keeping Congo's back against the cage and working takedowns. I think Congo's what's his Achilles heel? I think it might be takedown defense, possibly. Although lately he's been working back to his feet well. I think you said you've been having me pick these heavyweight fights all year. And I think from what you're telling me each time is that I'm picking the underdogs. But in this one, I can't go with the underdog. I just see Bader being too much with his skill set.
I got you. And the fact is, Bader's a 4-1 favorite. So if, you got to have a little bit of a feeling for Congo if you're going to bet that way. And if you do, have a chance at winning some money. If you're going to win money on Bader, you're going to have to risk, a good deal of money to bring some back. So that's always something to consider there. Mr. Ivey's just going to tell you who's going to win. As far as I'm concerned, that's what the man's an expert on. So let me ask you a question here. You talked about maybe takedown defense being Cheat Congo's Achilles heel. What about gas? How do you read gas going into this, which is going to be a title fight? So you got 5 rounds, Could we see a 4th and 5th round here where both guys are tired? Because, at the end of the day, 5-round fights of this nature, tend to take a lot out of you. And both guys have run into the wall before.
Right. And it could go that way. Chet Congo's good at, even when he gets taken down, he's good at not absorbing a huge amount of punishment while he's down there. So this thing could go a little ways, Miguel. And Congo's always deadly when you're at that range at the beginning of a round, right? Whenever before the offense, before the missiles start flying, Chet's good before he gets pushed against the cage and stuff. So every round there's going to be that danger. But I think anybody with any sense on this one's going to have to go with Bader.
All right, so we got the official pick in there, Ryan Bader this weekend. I agree with you. I do think, in this case, he's an excellent wrestler. As you pointed out, the takedown may be his benefit. And cleverly, I think that the key here that Ivey's pointing out is that, and if it goes this way, it's likely he doesn't even need the takedown. Really, just the chest to chest and even up against the fence, that's to Bader's advantage, taking away Congo's length and stuff. So he doesn't even need to fulfill and finish the takedown, just be in the act of it, and he's dominating the fight already and putting Congo on the back foot. So an interesting fight. We'll talk afterwards, Mr. Ivey, but the official pick, Ryan Bader. Mr. Ivey, any final words?
No, Miguel, who are you picking? You never tell us who you think's going to win. I want to know who Miguel thinks going to win.
I do think Bader's going to win. I think Bader's got a shot at ending it fast too because of the speed factor. I think he can come out and hit Congo before Congo hits him, and from there, if Congo weathers the storm, which he does, he's a tough guy that takes punishment. If he weathers the storm, then we're in a fight. But I think that Congo is susceptible to getting knocked out from the speed and the power of Bader at 230, 235. No weight cutting, no nothing. Those guys come in at the peak of their powers, I think. So Bader at 36, still, in the prime for a heavyweight. So, yeah, I'm going with Bader as well.
Smart pick, Miguel.
It's not dumb if you're following Mr. Ivey's picks here to follow his way, but ultimately we will find out Saturday night as Bellator 226 comes to us live. You can check your local listings for start times on DAZN. It's got like 20 fights, so check on it. And the main event, Chicago versus Ryan Bader for the heavyweight title. You got your picks and the scoop here from Jonathan Ivey. Thanks, John.
See you, brother.
Yes, sir.